In this video, we're going to talk about blockchaining. Blockchaining.
What is blockchaining?
I don't know what blockchaining is. We'll start again, right? In this video, we're going to talk about blockchain and gaming and a new blockchain game that is going to blow the lid off of what's possible with combining the two.
Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
Apollo have produced the ultimate hardware wallet for your cryptocurrency assets, probably the most secure hardware wallet going. Use my affiliate link and the code for a discount. Please follow me on Twitter and join my official Telegram announcements channel. Also, please follow me on bittube.video. You can also follow me on Odyssey. These are both censorship-resistant platforms, and every now and then I am going to post a video which isn't going to be on YouTube. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for making yourself available, and I think you know that this is a crypto rich, filling our pockets with crypto profits.
I thought I got to say that part.
You want to say that?
Filling your pockets with crypto profits.
And yours too. And
yes.
Yours too. Filling everybody's pockets.
Everybody else's.
Yes. It's been a while. It's been a while since you and I last spoke, because I loved having you on.
Thank you.
And we met personally and stuff. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk? Actually, just say in a nutshell, just one or two sentences. What is this project that we're going to be talking about?
It's a play-to-earn RPG game with in-game battles that are with NFTs that are represented as cards. So you have a card deck. So it's kind of like Diablo meets Magic the Gathering.
Diablo meets Magic the Gathering. Okay, well, that's all right. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself and how you got into blockchain and what your role is?
Sure. Well, I mean, you've known me for a while, so I mean, but for your audience, of course, I'm happy to talk a little bit about that. So, I spent a good part of my career in the fintech world, working with, a lot of the big tier 1, tier 2 banks. Most of that was when I was in London. So that's, of course, why we met. And I realized at a certain point that a lot of the work we were doing in banking just seemed a little bit hard, like unnecessary. And a lot of it came down to overcharging people for what we were doing. And I felt like I needed to kind of look around and see if there were other ways to do things more cleverly, and stumbled upon crypto and said, this is kind of interesting. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole, got into it, and I never left. That was back in 2016 when I went in full time to crypto. And since then, I've done a number of things. As you know, I YouTubed for a little while, which is how we first connected. I did a lot of work advising other projects. I did some public speaking. I ended up writing a best-selling book called Be Left Behind, which was kind of a nice little culmination of getting into crypto and being able to help others get started. But I just felt like there was still something missing that I hadn't achieved or done yet, which led to basically last year, back in 2020, I was looking around at the NFT space with a few people and said, surely there's got to be something in the gaming space we could do that would be different and would help other people to create some financial freedom, to help people that need to be able to access funds and to play and do things. And gaming is a great way to do that. And we were a little bit ahead of our times because it wasn't quite called play to earn gaming. And NFT gaming was still just kind of a thought process, but wasn't as prominent as it is now. So that's kind of what's led me to where I am right now. It's just a culmination of events leading to what can we do to help people and do something that's fun and create imagery like this that people go, ooh, I want to be in that universe. So that's how we ended up with Dreams Quest.
Dreams Quest. Okay, so that's the project. And what's your role in the project? And then take us through Dreams Quest, what it does.
So, I'm one of the 3 founders of the project. I got together with some people last summer. And as I said, just started playing around with ideas, and 2 of us really stuck with it. Some of the other people just didn't have it as a priority. They had other things they were working on, and they just kind of faded away over time. And we then brought on somebody else onto the team to be a founder with us. And the 3 of us, she's ex-Holochain, and the guy I started with runs DeFi Singapore. So the 3 of us just kind of carried on, and we started designing concepts of the game and working around what would a game look like, what would the NFTs look like, and we started working with a variety of artists to create beautiful artworks. We wanted to see what could we do to make beautiful art to make a beautiful game, and that led to what's the game. So we better figure that out. But I mean, we had the ideas at the early stages, but we're not game developers or game designers. So we went out to the market and we found some game designers who actually work in the gaming sector. I started collaborating with them and saying, look, we're going to build a game. we've got game concepts, we've got an idea of an in-car gameplay and whatever else. And then we started going through iterations daily. And it became an incredible journey just to start working through how do you take traditional gaming and bring all of the best elements we can bring of in-game experience. But instead of it being about pay to play, how do we weave in play to earn so that people that come to play get a visually exciting experience, one that's enhanced, one that's like a proper design developed game that gives you other things that you wouldn't normally see, like dynamic NFTs, where attributes change over time on the gameplay, where you have just an experience where people can play, they can earn money, they can do something that they enjoy, and it should be a game that is free to start, not something where you have to pay to start playing the game, but actually everybody should be able to start for free. So those started becoming our mantras, and then we just kept evolving and developing, and we've got, as you can imagine, we've come a long way. Still a long way to go to get the game out, but I mean that's just a quick summary of of our little mini journey.
Okay, and then what's blockchain got to do with this? Because you've just designed a game.
Yeah, so the fact that we're using NFT cards that we're designing, and every card is like a card element that you would find in Magic the Gathering, for example. So let's use the example of Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, where you have player versus player, you've got your cards and I've got my cards, and they're playing against each other. So rather than using physical cards, because of course we're in the digital world, we could have just made digital cards. But using NFT meant we could create game packs. We can store the cards on chain. We can store the history of the cards. We can do things like dynamically changing the card attributes over time. And then we started talking to Polygon and looking at how could we do things with low gas fees for transactions, for in-game transactions. Then we started talking to Chainlink and said, what could we do to make really interesting in-game experiences also have dynamic attributes? So, for example, if you take any card game, what you find is that the games themselves are fairly static in terms of the elements or the attributes or the situations that occur in game. And what we're doing is creating sort of unpredictable, what we say is our unpredictable events and unpredictable outcomes. And by that, what we mean is that even when you go in-game to play in a battle, this is not the RPG side of the game. This is the battle side where it's card versus card. What we're doing is we're actually bringing in data from Chainlink that's actually bringing in off-chain data, for example, weather. And it's random weather data, so you don't know what weather situation you'll be faced when you have your cards, your deck, against someone else's deck. So imagine, for example, here's a great example I like to use all the time. Imagine that you have in your deck a Mud Elemental. And normally it's a great card, it plays really well, and it's strong and powerful, but it's particularly good in wet conditions. It likes to be in dark conditions. But your in-game experience happens to be a battle where it's desert, hot, sunny. Mud Elemental is not going to perform very well. So it automatically changes the attributes of cards. So it reads out the blockchain data, pulls in the attributes of a card. It might have 7 strength and 3 dexterity, and all of a sudden it goes to 8 strength and 2 dexterity. So the dynamic change to the card simply because of in-game conditions. So it creates this kind of, reset of you don't quite know what you got. So you try to optimize the deck. It's like a strategy. You build your deck. You try to be as strategic as you can how you build it, but you never know what conditions you're going to face in game. The other thing, right?
Hold on a second. I just want to say that's really smart, and that's more like real life. I'm thinking of a battle in the olden ages, right? Perhaps on a hill, and you've got the attacking forces riding horses, but it's really, really wet. So the
horses are falling down.
They're falling down. They're slipping. They can't run up the hill like they would. So then the advantage that they thought they would have is actually now a disadvantage. So then the general's got to work out, well, how are we going to take into account of this?
Yes.
Very
got it. So it requires another level of strategic gameplay in terms of how to play the game in these new conditions. Now, what's interesting is that, if you take, I'll use Magic the Gathering as an example because a lot of people are familiar with it. If you look at Magic the Gathering, there's 2 types of cards. You have cards that are characters that have their skills, their abilities, and you have land cards. And you need the land cards in order to play, or you have spells sometimes, but you generally have cards that you can put down, but you need the land cards to be able to do things, to participate. So rather than playing that style, what we decided to do is really focus on cards that are characters that have certain abilities. And then we have cards that are miscellaneous items, which could be like a Sword of Destiny, or it could be a a spell that changes the weather conditions. So you've gone in with one set of conditions, and all of a sudden it's gone from rainy to sunny because you've thrown down a card that affects your side, and your side is sunny, and the other side is now still raining, or changes the entire dynamic so that a card that would normally be weak is now stronger. So you can apply them to card or to entire game experience. So having all these cards you're collecting from the RPG side, suddenly you're building your deck and you're trying to figure out, what do I need to have in my deck that will optimize the deck, that will account for not just weather conditions, but temperature, lighting conditions, storms, lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms, volcano eruptions, lava flows. I mean, you don't know all the possibilities that might affect in-game experience. And we're having to basically design the cards so that they have standard attributes, but then we have to consider what attribute changes would they have under all these other conditions, which is really interesting for game design.
Wow. Okay. Can you give us a look? Can we have a look at the game? You able to share your screen?
No, not yet, because we're still in paper design form. So that's why I've got the background image here, because at least I can show you the artwork that we've been working on and doing. And I mean, I can't show the NFTs themselves. We've got over 60 cards that are already designed, but obviously we're going to be making a lot more of them as we continue to build out the game. But we're at the stage right now, which is called paper play, which is where you basically are able to take pieces of paper and you just write on the paper what the cards are, and then you're playing against each other, because it's what's called balancing. So when you have a deck versus another deck, you need to make sure that the in-game experience is balanced so that one side doesn't always seem to win over the other. You have to make sure that there's counter effects that can be done on both sides. So with each race or nation of cards, then with each of the cards that come from each of the nations and the races that come within, you can assemble the decks based on which side of the realm you come from, either you're from the infernal side or from the celestial side of the realm. So all the cards coming from one side or the other are obviously going to be battling against one another. But of course, we'll have some neutral cards, because when you design games, you always have the plus, the minus, and the neutral are cards both sides can have. So it creates these are all the in-game design mechanics that have to make sure game balances so that one side is not always favored to win over the other.
Right.
So that's what we're going through now, is all the paper design and the graphics creation, and then we start to fuse the two together as we start building out the whole kind of in-game experience. And as I said, there's two sides to one is the battle part, which is the board, and the other side is the RPG side, which we can talk about as well, because that's a whole other side of the game.
Sure, we'll come to that. Now tell me, when are you looking to launch it, and is there a website that people can have a look at?
Yeah, dreams.quest is the website. Right now it's pretty standard. Well, not standard because it's quite graphically orientated, but it's a landing page as such of just kind of laying out the concepts of the game, and it's somewhat similar to our pitch deck in terms of just giving people a flavor of what's to come. We have a movie trailer that's in development now, which is just very proper trailer-like, kind of the exciting enthusiasm, boom, 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 here's what we're doing, here's what we're all about. So that's all being developed and will be out hopefully by end of September, roughly. That's what we're hoping for. Mm-hmm. We've got a team of 4 videographers working on it, so we're just leaving them to work on it with flying dragons and burning fire and burning cards and all the crazy stuff that they do. Leave it to the creatives to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, and when are you looking?
But the game itself, to answer your question, the game itself will have a early access in the first half of 2022, and if all goes well, we'll just continue to roll that out. And by the second half of 2022, the game will be out in full for people to play. Of course, we'd love to have it out sooner, but as you can imagine, the design, the building, the programming of such a game does take time.
Right. Okay. Now, is there a cryptocurrency involved? Are you?
Yes. Yes. So the in-game currency will be Dreams tokens. Naturally, with games, as you're reasonably familiar with games like me, so you don't just have a single currency when you play a game, because actually the currency is oftentimes are resources. So if you think back to like Warcraft as an example game, and or Command and Conquer games from some time back, all of these games have one thing in common, which is that you typically have several different, we'll call them in quotes, currencies or resources. So you'll have wood, or you'll have iron, or you'll have steel, or you have gold, or you have gems. And each of those resources are used to do things like to build something, to forge something, to design something in game. So naturally, one of the currencies in game will be the Dreams token itself, which is what you earn from in-game play. But of course, the other resources can also be used to mine those resources and collect those resources and then use them to forge items, and upskill characters and other things like that. So there's some kind of traditional gaming aspects that we're building in-game so that it becomes a combination of traditional game resources and an in-game currency that everybody can use for earning, spending, upgrading, trading, selling cards. Because remember, every item that you use in-game, whether it's a card for a player or a miscellaneous item or a potion or spell, every one of them will be individual NFT cards. So you have to buy those cards, or you find the cards, or you can upgrade the cards, or you can forge a card. It's like any traditional kind of gaming experience. In some cases, you'll need to use a combination of in-game resources to be able to forge the card to then earn some money from it.
Okay, and that's where the Dreams token comes in.
Yes.
Making the purchases of those and everything. Okay.
Not just purchases. I mean, if you're going to earn money, you're going to earn it from the Dreams tokens.
And how do people earn money? By winning games? Winning tournaments?
So there's a bunch of things. Okay, so let me go back to the RPG side. So the fantasy role play. I'm going through a universe. I'm walking around and doing things. So there's a whole series of, it's a 2.5D experience. So it's not a full 3D like when you're walking through hallways and tunnels and such. It's more like a top-down view, but it's sort of, it's not like flat top-down 2D, but it's like what's called 2.5D, which is the way Diablo is done as an example. So what happens is that there's a whole series of quests, events, and tournaments. So in the example of a quest, you might be given a particular quest either as an individual, or you might have joined a guild. So people are able to join guilds and collaborate and work together as well to achieve milestones. So these quests. So there's a whole variety of different quests that'll be coming out through the game. Some of them will be weekly quests, monthly quests. Some of them will be one-off quests. Some of them will be quests that are created by the Guardians, which are another part of the game dynamic. And so during these quests where you're trying to find something, you're exploring, you're trying to achieve certain goals or tasks, upon completion, you'll be able to earn tokens for completion of that task. You might also be able to find a chest, open the chest. You might get some other resources. You might get new items, new cards. And of course, the items and the cards could be anything from common to rare, epic, legendary. And you can take those and just sell them straight away if you want to. Or you might want to take them to the forge and upgrade them or change them so you can try to make them more powerful. So there's lots and lots of different quests that'll go on. There'll be holiday quests. There'll be quests that come toward the end of the season where you are on a leaderboard. And if you're performing well and you end up on a leaderboard, you could be on the ultimate quest to try to go and raid the dragon's lair. So, but all throughout the game, there's going to be different ways that you can earn from in-game play. And then, of course, from what you earn, you can either spend it in-game to upgrade or forge or create new items or do other things, or sell your items or cash out from the Dreams token so that you can actually, earn your passive or maybe not passive income, depending on what you're doing. Passive meaning I have these cards, I sit on them, they become more valuable over time, and then I can sell them. Or just by playing the game, you earn some tokens each week, and you go and cash out so you can pay for your living.
Okay.
So we're trying to make it, but of course, for any in-game tokenomic utility to work, there have to be ways to spend tokens as well. So naturally, you can spend tokens to upgrade and forge and all the rest too. So there's a whole series of things going on between in-game resources and the in-game token, so that the whole thing is kind of a nice, enriching experience for everybody, because our objective is play to earn, help as many people as we can to earn from gameplay, but to make sure that the tokenomic model works so that there's always a sufficient number of tokens to keep gameplay working.
Right. And then is there another, there's no way I'm going to win a quest or something, right?
Why not?
Tournament. Oh, because I'm rubbish at games. But unless
you'll probably be able to win a quest here and there. Why not?
Well, anyway, but supposing you're similarly rubbish, is there a way that you and I can connect as friends, play the game, pool our money, and then the winner takes it or something?
Well, there's going to be guilds. So within your realm, you have guild. You can create it. You can either create and form a guild. You'll see a lot of games have this. Like if you look at I don't know, Castle Crush or something on your mobile phone, you can basically join other groups and basically become a group of 20 people that are all basically doing in-game private battles, but you can pool resources and share with each other and help each other. So that same principle will be there. Of course, there'll be a lot more that goes on because we'll also allow you to rent your deck to your guild members too. So if you're renting your deck to someone else and they play and they earn from gameplay battles, then now switching back to the battle, card versus card. But if somebody says, you've got a great deck, can I rent it from you? Sure. I rent it to them. They go and play. They win. They earn their money. I win because I get a percentage of the game battle win, and I win because I'm renting the cards to them. So whether or not they win or lose, I'll still get something for rental or delegation of the deck.
All done over
but interestingly, Yeah, it's all done by smart contract, exactly. And what's interesting is that if you can actually create a really cool deck of cards, we can go a step further, because if you think about a game like Magic the Gathering again, you have these tournaments that go on. Now, when you have tournaments that take place in Magic the Gathering, there are people who are famous game players. And the way that they play is they don't show up with their own deck. They literally show up and they rent decks from other players to play. Now, imagine we do that in a digital world where I show up with a deck of 30 cards. Here's my deck. And the professional player comes along. He could be a Twitcher, and he wants to go online and play, and he's going to use my deck. So two things happen, okay? And this is where it gets interesting. Two things happen. One is I have now rented my deck to a famous player. So that famous player is now using my deck, and I'm getting I'm getting some tribute from renting my deck. But the second thing is I've now rented my deck to a famous player, and so each card that's used in game battle is now showing that the username that's using that card is TwitchX, whoever it is. And so now my card that's owned by me is delegated, and at the point of delegation, the username on the card is changed for the battles that the card has been held. And then when it's delegated back, the card names revert back, and the username is then written back to me again. What that does is, theoretically, it could increase the value of the card, because it shows who held the card and used it for gameplay. So if somebody who's really famous and really notable has held those cards, it would be no different than holding a Pokemon card that was held by a famous person, and you bought them off that person in mint condition, and you could say the card history is this person owned it, that person owned it. The difficulty is, how can you prove that somebody owned a Pokemon card that was famous? But in our game, you'll actually be able to show and prove that these people, hey, Crypto Rich actually held my deck for a while and played it. Oh my God, really? Crypto Rich was using my cards? That's so cool. And those cards could theoretically become more valuable if the market values them more, because someone famous held the card for a while and then sold it on or delegated it back. But we won't distinguish between ownership and rental. Gameplay, if a card is held by someone else, it's played by that person, and then it comes back, it's written on chain by the ethereal scribes.
Very good. Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And how is all this being funded?
Fundraising. Well, quite honestly, we've had to fund a lot of the work ourselves. And of course, we've got a great team of people who are all in this for the sake of benefiting others. So like most projects, when you first start out, you get a team together. The hardest part is finding people who are willing to participate and help and get the project off the ground until such time that we are able to hit TGE and the funds can be released. So we've gone out to market to raise 3 million. We've achieved that. In fact, we had pledges of over 3 million in 3 weeks' time. So we closed the seed round reasonably quickly. We've had a number of great investors come in and are helping us. And now we're basically just in our marketing phase, raising awareness of the project, making sure people know about what's coming. And we'll be doing the TGE in October. We'll be doing our IDOs on RedKite and GameFi, which are gaming IDO platforms. And of course, more to follow on all of that in terms of the exact timings. But we've got a rough date between the second and third week, or between the end of the first and end of the second week. So let's say first half of October is when we'll be doing the IDOs. And we'll go from there. And then we'll be off to the races. The funds will then be released. And then we'll be able to pay everybody a little bit of salary and a little bit of coins, so everyone has some money to live on, which is really important, so that everyone on the team's happy. And of course, then we're just going to massively expand the team in terms of more games developers, more games designers. We're already interviewing and hiring, so we're lining it up. So I won't be surprised if we're a team of 30 by the end of October.
Yes, because the thing that I know about the gaming industry is that it's massive.
Yes.
It's massive. It is.
Yeah, and also we'll be launching our marketplace soon, so some of the cards will be coming out early, so people will be able to access some of the cards. We're running a Discord so that people can actually come in. We're gamifying Discord so that you can actually do things in Discord, so that we can actually read the NFT. And if you have NFTs in your hand and they have certain card attributes, certain characteristics, for example, when an NFT is minted, purchased and minted on demand, we will automatically use the Chainlink VRF to write into the card a unique random number. So that'll be like a key. So that key will potentially be used, well, not potentially, the key itself will potentially unlock a room in Discord that only cards with the correct key would open, and everybody else won't be able to see it. They won't be able to access it. And it'll allow us to create these kind of unique sort of factions or separation between people, because you each get into different rooms, and in each room different things are happening that don't happen to other people. So we can gamify some of the NFT experiences, plant a crystal NFT card and then every couple of days you'll need to come back and visit your card and give it some love, and that card will potentially grow and develop, and you might get new things that come off of this crystal tree that grows because you planted your crystal card in, even if it's in a Discord. So we're always playing around with ways to sort of gamify the experience of holding an NFT, and what can you do in game, in Discord, before the actual game comes out, because we want people to have a lot of experiences with it. So
and I suppose
things like minting cards,
and there's something you said that if people are interested in gaming, in particular fantasy type gaming, like Magic the Gathering and stuff, which my son was very interested in, then getting in early to buy the NFTs could be a smart move before it becomes available and there's greater
no doubt. If you look at like Magic the Gathering, if you have the first edition of, they're like collector's items now. So having the first edition, second edition of, the red deck or the blue deck or the black deck or the whatever, there's so many, newer decks now that have all these crazy things in Magic the Gathering. But some people just want to have those original decks because they're worth so much value. And even within a deck, there's certain cards. It's like, they're very rare, they're hard to get, so they become more valuable. So now you have the collector's edition, Mud Elemental, first edition Mud Elemental, that you just can't get your hands on because there's only 6 of them, or there's only 100 of them, or whatever. So yes, that's a big factor, is when you make a game, we're going to continuously have new decks of cards that come out over time, and we'll sell the decks. There'll be random cards in each deck. You don't know what cards you're going to get. Sort of like when you go to buy a deck of cards from Magic the Gathering or other games. Even in Hearthstone, it's the same sort of thing. You get like a deck, and then you get a bunch of cards on the screen, and you click, 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 and you get each of the cards opening up, and you don't know what's in the deck. So that exact same thing will happen with us too. So, we'll continue to add new decks. They may have new partnerships or allies or branding or things that are attached to, add certain value. There's lots of things we can do to play around with it. It's all going to be, developed as we go, and based on community and what community wants as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for community to participate.
Okay. And which blockchain are you using? I assume it's not Bitcoin, right? Because there's 7 transactions.
No, I mean, it's ERC20. We're building the game experience around the Polygon network. Naturally, there's some adoption work that has to be done to get people to come across to that. But we've got a year to start building out our ecosystem so people are comfortable being on Polygon. But I'll also comment that there's also a lot of people asking about mobile gameplay, and that's a big factor for us. So while the original first version will be a desktop-based version, we recognize that what's going to be the limiting factor for people getting into the game or not is whether or not they can play easily with nice graphics, but also in a simple format that doesn't require, if you go to the PC, you typically get like, very expensive GPU, CPU, the whole kind of high-end gaming experience. And whilst we could go down that path in terms of the complexity of, very, very advanced graphic cards and all the rest, it's going to exclude people if we do that. So whilst we're going to have a very beautiful in-game experience, we're very conscious that we need to have a mobile version so that we can tap into the Asian markets and give people something that they can play and earn with. So that will make it interesting, because in order for mobile to work, there are some centralized components you have to consider. So although our game, let's say, goal is decentralized, there are elements where we're going to have to build centralized in order to capture the larger market audience, until such time that blockchain enables a mobile experience where you're not having to keep switch between, the mobile app and the wallet to verify transaction and back again. Because if we go down that path, you can imagine how nightmarish it's going to be to make a game work. So there are some limitations that we're fully aware of, and I'm sure you're fully aware of in terms of what a mobile gaming app can do with blockchain. But the underlying tech will still be blockchain.
Okay.
And we'll deal with those things as we go. I mean, we're not saying we're abandoning decentralized at all. We're just saying we have a wider audience of people who want mobile, so we have to make sure we build something that's usable and, both visually attractive as well as user-friendly, ease of adoption, ease of use, and enables people to play and earn.
Okay. And then if people want to get involved, how can they do that? There's the Discord group. Is there a Telegram group? Do you have a website with a white paper and all that business?
So we like to encourage people to come to Discord for obvious reasons, because there's a lot more you can do in Discord in the gaming community. We do have Telegram. We have Telegram Vietnam, Philippines, Telegram China, Telegram Global. We've also got Discord, which has all the channels. It's got all the channels with languages inside of it. The easiest place to probably go to find all of it is just to go to dreams.quest. And at the bottom of our website, all the links to all of the social channels are there. And from there, then you can, naturally find the rest of it. So our Discord channel is on there. Our Telegram channel is on there. So that's probably the easiest way to start. And then, of course, we welcome people to come and just follow us and stay with us, because there's going to be a lot of fun things. And our NFT sales will be out in a couple of weeks, and lots of interesting, exciting things happening. So many ways to get involved.
Very, very interesting. And it is, like you said, like if people who got in early with Magic the Gathering, buying up the cards, some of them would have done very, very well.
Yep.
Same deal here, because there's so much room in this sector.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is,
gaming.
You know how it is in crypto. Crypto moves faster than traditional card games. So I can imagine that the speed in which people adopt and start playing these card games, not just our games, there's other games also coming out that are doing, card versus card, player versus player, card deck versus card deck, different ways of doing the same kind of thing. So I can imagine that there's going to be a lot of NFT card gaming experiments that come out, and it'll be really interesting to see how all these card decks and how these games perform, because if they're visually appealing and they have good in-game dynamics, they'll do well.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, is there anything else you want to let us know?
I love you, Chris. I love you, Crypto Rich. You're great, man.
Yeah. Well,
that's really. I'm really excited about this. I'm happy to be here. I really appreciate you taking the time, and of course, I would, just love to invite people to come take a minute, check out dreams.quest, and be a part of our growth journey, and check out what we're doing in terms of IDO, TGE, building a game, card drops. Get involved early. There's lots of stuff we're going to be doing, competitions, and even out of game tournaments, experiences. So there'll be lots of ways to earn and play. Great. Even now. So we encourage people to come get started.
Very good. Well, I'll have all the links in the description below. Really appreciate you coming on.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You are going to be back on the channel again. And when this whole
that's great. Thank you.
When this whole episode is over, which I think it will be, we will meet up. When we're free, when we have our liberties restored, regained.
Oh, we'll be back together again for sure.
We will meet up.
I look forward to another proper curry with you. Nothing more fun than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So look, everybody, thank you. Steve, thank you so much. Anybody who's watching, thank you for watching this. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the description below. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Steve signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you.